Hi, it's Thursday the 15th of August and we're doing a live TNT today because, well, frankly, there's quite a lot to discuss. My water bills, for example. Must go and pay those too. So look, wherever you are in the world, it's really good to have you with this special live program. I think I'll do another live program again tomorrow and we'll do that a little bit later on. I know that's going to come on, so I need to turn that off. Sort of a bit out of my place doing this on a Thursday morning. So because tomorrow is going to be the likely election of a new Prime Minister, I think we'll probably do another live program as it's happening, just because it's exciting. And then I might even have a day off on Saturday because I probably deserve it. Thank you very much for all the people that have trusted me to deliver the news to them. Just a very special big thank you to Daryl McGee as well, who has put in his apologies for not being able to be part of today's discussion, but very kindly gave us a bit of a super chat. So that's sort of where we are. Now, I just wanted to set a few rules this morning, not because I want to lord over you or be nasty. It's just, I just sort of want to put things in some sort of context, and also just want to protect this channel and protect you. So there's to be no defamation. If you are going to be making comments, and please, comments are welcome and invited this morning. We don't want to defame anybody, so please talk about the decision made by the Constitutional Court yesterday. I'll get into some of the details of exactly what happened yesterday in a moment, but don't comment about the judges or the court itself. That's defamation, and we can be sued. YouTube can be sued. You can be sued, and don't think they don't know your IP address. They do. So yeah, no defamation. Just another thing I wanted to mention, this morning's chat is for subscribers only. If you're not a subscriber, it'll take you about 2 seconds. You just got to go and click subscribe, and then you can join in the chat after 1 minute. So yeah, I'm trying to push up my subscribers. Give me a break. And I think it's very important as we move into this discussion this morning about Thailand's next Prime Minister and what's going to happen next, and are the wheels falling off Thai democracy, Thai-style democracy. I just want to say that it is very important to remember that there is continuity to Thai government. There is still a parliament, there's still a Senate, there's still a head of state. All the public servants rolled up to work this morning at 8:30 a.m. and were probably, I know what they were talking about, in front of the water cooler or getting their Amazon coffee on the way. So that's all happening. I mean, the wheels of government in Thailand are still turning, even though there is no current Prime Minister. There is a caretaker government and there is a caretaker Prime Minister. So just by constitutional law, the Deputy Prime Minister sort of steps into the place and will be involved in the conduct of proceedings if and when they get together tomorrow. So there is continuity of government in Thailand. The whole thing hasn't just sort of fallen in a heap. So let's remember that as we sort of get into today's discussion. Now, another word that a lot of people like to use, and I mean, yesterday there was some good discussions, and thank you to those people. And thank you to those people that sent me articles from around the world about what was happening yesterday. I do appreciate that. I mean, I probably had read the articles or seen the YouTube clips before you sent them to me because I was sort of on the matter myself. But people say, oh, there's going to be another coup. This is always like the easiest comment people make. It's a lazy and silly comment because, I mean, at the moment, there is just no pretext for a coup. In some ways, you could probably argue that the Conservatives and the elite have got the upper hand at the moment, even though the Pheu Thai have got the numbers in the lower house. But there's just zero pretext or chance of a military coup at the moment. If there was, I'd honestly say so, but please don't say there's going to be another coup. Having said that, here's my take on the matter. Now, Thailand over the last year, and certainly promoted by the former Prime Minister, Srettha Thaksin, has been this push for soft power, for things like Muay Thai and Thai pop music and Thai soap operas, even Thai food. They call this soft power, so it's promoting Thailand without directly promoting Thailand. It's not the TAT going, amazing Thailand. These are called soft power. And I would probably suggest that the behaviour of the Constitutional Court, without criticising the decision yesterday, the behaviour of the Constitutional Court over the past 2 decades, and we'll talk about how the Constitutional Court came into being in just a moment, has been a form of a soft coup. Not soft power, but perhaps a soft coup. And by saying that, we have a group of unelected judges who have 4 times stepped in over the past 2 decades and dismissed the current Prime Minister. Not this current Prime Minister, but the current Prime Minister of the time. Such that they are wielding perhaps I've got all the animals here today. They're saying, what the hell are you doing this at 9 o'clock in the morning? You're meant to be feeding us. Dusty's doing fine, by the way. You might even make a guest appearance. I sort of see it as a bit of a soft coup. The military quietly and softly wielding their power without it actually happening directly. So that's sort of my take on what's going on. I mean, I don't have rose-coloured glasses when it comes to Thailand. I sort of have a broad understanding. I mean, apart from living here for 13 years, I have also been working very heavily on reporting the news on a daily basis, and with all my Thai staff and Thai friends, getting the nuances of what some of this means. And whilst the democracy in Thailand, and I sort of put that in inverted commas, works in its own way, it is a sort of form of democracy. It has a parliamentary style of government, but there is obviously an over-exaggerated influence of the Conservatives, the elite, and the... now I've got Dina attacking one of my trees. It's just going to be one of those days. And wielding an over-exaggerated power beyond what they've been elected or nominated to do by the Thais. I also have to say, I sort of drove to breakfast this morning, and the vendors were out selling coffee, people were out sweeping the streets, people were pulling up the shutters on their shops and sweeping the stall out the front. People were in 7-Eleven. Look, life is going on in Thailand, despite this mayhem in Parliament at the moment. So I think when people sort of get all lemon-lipped about the situation at the moment, we need to remember that the government, there is continuity in the government. The immigration stalls are open today at the airport, and nothing is going to be different. I mean, the taxis are still going to pick you up, and the palm trees are still along the coast at the beaches, and the bars will be open in Pattaya. So let's just start at that point and sort of settle down. Let's just have a quick hello to the people who are online at the moment. I understand a lot of people will be watching this after the time. And yeah, this is going to go on for an hour today. And we will try and get as many people the opportunity to have a say on what they think is going on as we can, because that's why we're doing this live chat. So, Frank in the Philippines says, we have a soft coup in progress. Ha, ha, ha. And Daryl McGee's put in his apologies. John Armstrong, good morning, all from Minnesota. Thank you, John, I think, for sending that article last night, or a YouTube clip. Wilco addressing Frank in the Philippines, like the Marcos family there, Thailand could possibly see another chapter of the Shinawatra family, and we'll get into potential candidates soon. Guzzy Jack, good morning to you. Addressing Wilco, never thought I'd see a Marcos back in power. Okay, let's bring it back to Thailand. And the other thing I just wanted to say, let's avoid any comments or trying to relate what's happening in Thailand to what's happening in the United States or Australia or the UK or New Zealand or Europe or any other parliament. We are talking about what's happening in Thailand. I know people like to get a dig in to push their own political ideas in other countries, but we're not here to do that this morning. And if you do, you'll just be removed from the chat. The Call of Adventure says, hi guys from Chumpai. Hello to you, Swatika Tim. Our next PM, says Pat Thai. Well, one, I'm ineligible, and secondly, I'm not even slightly interested in a political career. John Armstrong, whoever decides to run for PM better calculate the votes well. Remember, you fail in a vote, you cannot stand again. This was a ruling last time against Peter. Yeah, I think that rule would probably stand. This is new, sure, happy I'm here. Okay, will the government have any effect on tourists? This is a really good question, M. Miranda, and I ask you humbly what you think. This is a discussion probably after I get through some of the details about our new PM. I need to sort of talk to the animals. But yeah, is this going to affect Thailand's business reputation, investment? Will people in far-off countries who had their tickets booked this week go, oh, maybe I shouldn't go to Thailand? Addressing that right off the bat, come to Thailand. You are just not going to notice any difference whatsoever. Thailand is still a safe, fun, hot, enjoyable, and very tasty sometimes place to visit. It's a shame a foreigner cannot be PM, says Peter Nesden. We could begin a petition to get Tim nominated. Not going to happen, obviously. Hello from Siem Reap in Cambodia. The question, Rachel Masters, is will there have to be another election? No, there doesn't have to be another election. And we'll get into some of those details in a moment. Ted says, g'day Tim, great to see a live program today. Mark, Texas Patriot, hello from Texas. So this is probably boring for the people watching it later. So just sort of reading out the hellos. But hello to all of you. Let's get into sort of roughly what happened. And we start with this. They're reported in Thai PBS. Excuse me. I'm a man of integrity, says Srettha. And there he is coming out from Parliament House to make a short comment after he was dismissed by the Constitutional Court. In his first interview after the court found him guilty of violating the Constitution by appointing Pitchett, a long-time legal advisor to the Shinawatra family, Srettha declined to speculate on who would be the next Prime Minister. And this was his final interview as Prime Minister. Well, actually, by the time he was speaking to the press, he was already a former Prime Minister. He expressed confidence in the parliamentary system to elect a new Prime Minister, and noting that he wasn't quite in the position of Prime Minister for a year. He was only nominated last August. Srettha has no contingency plan following the ruling. He insisted that he's a man of integrity and declined to comment further on the ruling, stating that it's now a matter for the past. This has been covered widely overseas. It's been reported by most overseas media. Benar News, Srettha Thaksin, how Thailand's first civilian PM in a decade swiftly lost the job. Al Jazeera, Thai court orders dismissal of Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thaksin. BBC, Thai court dismisses PM Srettha for violating Constitution. Associated Press, court order removes Thai PM Srettha from office in a second major ruling. That's, of course, referring to last week. The South China Morning Post. The show is over. Thailand PM Srettha Thaksin dismissed by court. Nikkei Asia. Thai Constitutional Court removes PM Srettha from office. And The Nation today saying the Thai Parliament to meet August the 16th, this is tomorrow, to elect a new Prime Minister after Srettha's ouster. And a candidate nominated for Prime Minister must win the support of more than half of the lower house, which currently has 493 members. So as we sort of have a look at what's happening over the next few days, the parliamentarians have been told to roll up to Parliament tomorrow. the new Senate is not involved in the vote for a new Prime Minister. The lower house has the power since May this year, when the opportunity for the Senate to be involved lapsed. So now we've got 493 MPs, a few less than last week after they were shuffled away by the Constitutional Court. They were members from Move Forward Party. So the key point to remember here, it's going to come down to numbers. It's going to come down to votes. Now, this is assuming that everything sort of goes to plan as listed in the Constitution. There could be all sorts of things coming in from the side, which we can talk about later. But there's 493 MPs who will likely roll up tomorrow morning to vote. So we'll get into the numbers in a sec. It says the vote will take place at 10 a.m. on August the 10th, with the ruling coalition due to meet today. Further, Thailand's Constitutional Court yesterday dismissed the Prime Minister for, in the terms of 5 out of the 9 judges, grossly violating ethics by appointing a minister who served jail time, raising the spectre of political upheaval and a shake-up in the governing alliance. A real estate tycoon, Srettha, became the 4th Thai Premier in 16 years to be removed by verdicts of the Constitutional Court, after its judges ruled 5-4 in favour of dismissing him for failing to perform his duty with integrity. And a gentleman from Trinity Security says it's a negative surprise. It's a direct risk to the economy. Consumer and business confidence will be affected. Spending and investment will slow down until the next government is formed. And according to some political experts, it's likely Thai will still have the clout to lead the next administration after a period of horse trading and uncertainty over who will be in charge. Well, you can be assured the phones are running hot as we speak. Now, Thai, who are the ruling leading party in the coalition at the moment, they're having a meeting today, and we'll go through who some of the candidates for not only Thai but the other parties are as we speak, and how those candidates have been arrived at. But yeah, the phones are running hot, people counting numbers, and it will all come to numbers and hands up on the day. That's going to be boring. All right, so let's just see what people are saying, and then we'll get into who the candidates are, how those candidates were arrived at, and perhaps a bit of evaluation of those candidates' situation. Okay, so Tron wars, this won't affect tourism at all. The thing is, most Thais and people so used to the government's ups and downs, even the government is used to it. It's a strange thing, but Thailand seems to be able to operate well. Sort of a Teflon democracy in many ways. The ups and downs, the travails of Thailand's governments. But even when there's a coup, and I was here when the last coup was announced on May the 14th, 2014, and May the 20th. I can't remember. But, I mean, there was no tanks, there was no guns. It was just sort of a very peaceful coup. Tim A. Morning, Tim. The BBC suggested that the politicians could choose a PM by tomorrow. Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a meeting from 10 a.m. tomorrow. It just sort of depends how the horse trading goes today. I would suggest that if Thai can't guarantee it's got the numbers by the end of today, there might be some way of postponing or trying to hold off tomorrow's gathering of Parliament. Be assured that Thai is only going to be marching into the Parliament if they've got their numbers sorted out. Did Thailand ever have a Prime Minister that did the full term? Yes. And I'm trying to remember their name. Leave it with me. Only one Thai PM. There we go. Yeah, there is a... I just can't remember their name offhand. Visa rules will be more strict and casino most likely no more. So this is interesting. how people think it's going to affect current legislation like the same-sex debate. But that's sort of been passed and awaiting some sort of rubber stamp by the Royal Gazette. So I think that one's done and dusted. But things like the cannabis bill hasn't even reached Parliament yet. Things like the new visa rules are just being rolled out as we speak. And I think there is perhaps a threat that they could be tightened. Why? Well, it depends on sort of who ends up with the numbers over the next 24 hours. But we might talk about that a bit more. America Chinese says when they pass legislation to legalise cannabis under the emergency decree, how can they still pass the 10,000 baht digital currency without any legal process or any kind of court oversight? Well, they're elected to Parliament. That is the legal oversight. And they can throw cannabis under the bus. The Parliament can if they choose to, if they vote to. So, yeah, I mean, the situation of it wasn't the legalisation of cannabis, it was the decriminalisation of cannabis as a Category 5 narcotic. Everything else that followed is somewhat, well, it's sort of, a lot of it's been assumed, but I don't want to talk about that today. That's another discussion for another day. But yeah, the Parliament is well entitled to discuss and pass a 10,000 baht digital wallet. And this digital wallet is also, I suspect, under some sort of threat. And just think about it, it's not so much the 10,000 baht that's the issue here, it's the introduction of a digital wallet or encouraging Thai people to use digital apps to conduct their daily affairs. Now, there are plenty of conspiratorial people out there that think it's the end of the world if we all start using these apps. I'll leave that discussion to another day as well because it's not relevant here. But the Thai digital wallet is as much about getting Thai people using modern digital technology as it is about the 10,000 baht. But yes, that probably would be up for grabs at the moment as well. Morning from Hot Up Mung. Okay. Okay, this crazy machine here. Chris McKee, do you think that the people will demonstrate, in particular with regard to Move Forward? Well, look, it's been a week since Move Forward were disbanded, and just imagine what's happened since then. 10 of the MPs have been removed and banned from Thai politics for 10 years, but the other 150 or so members of the former Move Forward party have all joined, every single one of them, the new Prachachon party, which it translates to People's Party. So they've all joined this new party. So the Move Forward party has just changed its brand, changed its name, but it's now those 150 odd MPs are still in Parliament and they're still in the opposition. We'll get to that particular situation in just a moment as well. I think it's bad for foreign investment, says Corey Jackson. The PM was really trying to get foreign investment into Thailand. Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that. This Thai Prime Minister, the former Thai Prime Minister now, was certainly a champion for getting Thailand's economy sort of supercharged and back in gear. There have been some big changes to the Thai economy in recent years. I mean, there's been big changes to the world economy. And Thailand's been sort of languishing a bit compared to some of the other Southeast Asian economies. So certainly the last Prime Minister, who was a businessman after all, was trying to do his best to attract investment. What happened yesterday, I don't think does anything to help that. Does he receive a government pension? Suppose so. I've got no idea. Don't really think that's of concern today, but a fair question. Can you give us a brief synopsis of what actually happened and why he was removed? That's from Mark, Texas Patriot. Well, I sort of did in the story I just did, so just scroll back a bit. And he was accused of basically impropriety, nominating a former a politician who was also a convicted felon, to a position with the Prime Minister's office. And the Prime Minister said, well, I didn't actually realise in the heat of the moment that his convictions were an issue. But anyway, you'd call it a sort of it was a minor infraction, but the Constitutional Court decided it was worthy of him being constitutionally removed. G'day everyone. Hope all is well, says King Kijiji. Now let's go to the candidates. So the only people that can stand for Prime Minister in the first test anyway are people who were nominated by their parties before the last election, which was in May last year. So of those candidates left, I mean, you can strike off Srettha Thaksin, he's been dismissed. You can also remove Pita Limjaronrat because he's been banned from politics for 10 years. But the candidates from the other parties are still there. So let's go to this particular graphic. I've got to click that and click that. 7 candidates replacing the Thai PM. Okay, who are they? Well, from the Per Thai Party, in this graphic incorrectly saying Pure Thai Party, we've got Pathongtan Shinawatra, who's 38 years old. She is the youngest daughter of Thaksin Shinawatra. And Chaikasem Nitsari, who's currently 76 years old and reportedly not in good health. So if he's going to be the prime ministerial candidate, he's probably going to have to turn up to Parliament tomorrow. We'll get more into the possibilities of each of these candidates getting the position of PM in just a moment. But who are the others? Well, from the Bumjai Thai Party, Anitin Sharvitakun, who's 57 years old. He's currently a Deputy Prime Minister. And also from the Palang Pracharat Party, Prawit Wongsuwon. Now, it says there he's 76 years old. Incorrect. He's actually 80 years old. He had his 80th birthday on the weekend. That's how I know that. Okay, so let's check some of the other candidates. From the United Thai Nation Party, we've got a gentleman called Pirapan. Now, I don't know much about him, but he's 65 years old. Photo looks like it was taken about 30 years ago. And over there on the right, there is another possible candidate, a gentleman by the name of Prayut Chan-o-cha, who's now 70 years old. He's also a legitimate candidate. And down the bottom also a member from the Democratic Party, Duran. He's pretty much on the outer these days, 68 years old, not a possibility there. So let's just go back to these. So the Per Thai Party, not the Pure Thai Party, has 141 MPs. So they've got the highest number of candidates, MPs, in the Parliament. So they are still the leading member of the coalition. Now, the people in opposition can also, as far as there's nobody listed there from Move Forward. Okay, so it looks like these are the MP candidates in the coalition at the moment. They're still driving the bus. They are still the government, even though they don't have a Prime Minister. So it's up to this current government, this coalition, to draw from among its ranks a new Prime Minister. So Pathongtan Shinawatra, the youngest daughter of Thaksin Shinawatra, only 38 years old, bit of a political newbie. The thought is that even though she's been hanging around the last 2 or 3 years as a leader of the Per Thai Party and currently the leader of the Per Thai Party and had a life living with Thaksin, many people thinking that she's still too young to take the leadership of the country. Which takes us to the other candidate from the Per Thai Party, Chaikasem Nitsari, and as I mentioned, he has been ill. Now, has he just had a cold, or does he have something much more serious? He is 76 years old, but it's understood that he will be the candidate put forward by the Thai party. Now they've got the first bite at the cherry because they have the highest number of votes in the lower house. So if you had to be a betting person, you would say that Chai Kasem Nitsari will probably be the next Thai Prime Minister. Now, he will have to turn up tomorrow and there will be plenty of questions asked about his health, I'm sure. But he looks like he's the rock-solid favourite candidate to become the Thai Prime Minister. So, 141 votes. Now, all of the MPs in the chamber will get to vote on this. And there's 493 current MPs in Parliament. So 141 out of 473, they're going to have to get the backing of a lot of other MPs. If he doesn't get enough, then the next party will probably put up their candidate, which would be Anaton Charvitakun. Now, the Phumjai Thai party have 71 MPs, and they'd be, at the moment, I'm sure, ringing around trying to get support across the coalition from both the Thai party and other parties. He's young, he's vigorous, he's been a player, he's a career politician. He doesn't like foreigners, and he said that often, but at the end of the day, he would be a hot favourite. No matter what you think of him personally, I think we need to look at the reality that out of the current candidates, if the numbers don't win themselves, he may win just by his ability to be able to draw together a whole lot of extra votes from across party lines. He's not seen as radical as Thai, who are already sort of in the centre anyway, and he's a good friend and served with the coalition with the old generals and the Conservatives in the previous government. So he would be a candidate that could probably keep quite a few of the political sides happy in the short period. There would still be a hope by Thai that they can win the next election and then put Patong Tan in as the Prime Minister. But the thought being at the moment that she is still young. Now, sort of beyond that, I think we're starting to, Palang Pracharat, Prawit Wongsuwon, this would be his last throw at the dice. Very unlikely he'd be able to draw any sort of interest from across the board. He's seen as a hardline conservative, one of the three generals who led the 2014 coup. Extremely unlikely he could become the next Prime Minister. And from there on, United Thai Nation Party, again, these nominees were part of the last coup. Of course, Prayut Chan-o-cha led the last coup and was the general leading the coup, and then the elected, in his terms, Prime Minister. He's also currently on the Privy Council, which are the councillors who are nominated to advise His Majesty the King. He would have to resign from that if he wanted to stand as Prime Minister. I think he's probably fairly fairly happy at the age of 70 in that new role. And then as far as the Democrats are concerned, they're just an irrelevance and they won't be able to pull together the votes. So the reality is, I think that we've got two nominees, Chai Sakem Nitsari from the Thai party and also Anaton Charvitakun. I think they are the two most likely people who would be both nominated and have the power to pull together the votes. But the Thai nominee will come first. They'll get the first bite at the cherry tomorrow. So I'll go to some of your comments, then I'm going to throw a sort of a cat amongst the pigeons, two cats amongst the pigeons, about a unlikely but possible scenario for tomorrow that might get you all a bit moist. And a big thanks, by the way. I've got a couple of these super chats, so please let me acknowledge those. And I do appreciate the people who go to the trouble with their generous support. Louis Carbo first from the United States. Tim, not to interrupt, but the tiger is not the same without you. I like your new channel. Well, thank you very much, Louis. I appreciate that. Well, of course, they're different because they're doing their own thing, and that's fine. So good luck to them. Bill G, thank you very much for your support as well. You've got a bit more to say here. Many of my Thai friends had no clue as to what had happened, nor did they care. As you said, life goes on. My friends take the view that they cannot change their government, so just move on. Look, there is some of that. I mean, in any country around the world, there are people who just have zero interest in politics. And there's people who just get really, really involved in politics. I mean, there's people in the discussions yesterday and the messages who were just like outright outraged and, really excited and stressed about what was happening in Thai politics. And they don't even live here. So some people just like to get outraged and excited over various things. But yeah, as I said this morning, driving around, you'd have no idea that there is any turmoil in Thai politics at all. Let's go to some more of your comments before I sort of get into my fanciful sideline. I think old Thaksin has had a hand in this, says Algorithm. Okay, well, I suppose my first question would be why? Yes, he is seen as sort of the spiritual or emotional leader of the Thai party, of the red shirt movement, but I'm not really sure whether, he would be consulted, people would be discussing with him, but it's not as if Thaksin would be phoning up the Constitutional Court judges and saying, hey, let's come up with a 5-4 vote. I mean, Thaksin's got to face the Constitutional Court himself, I think in a couple of weeks, over another matter, which could end up with him going back to jail. Not that he ever really went to jail. But no, it is totally fanciful. The Thaksin Shinawatra at 75 is somehow sort of pulling the puppet strings. Yes, I mean, he's been around and he's had a strong resolve over the Thai party and would be consulted from time to time, but he has no sway whatsoever over the Constitutional Court. Now, we should mention, how does the Constitutional Court, how do they come into play? Well, the Constitutional Court, as listed in the Constitution, are judges nominated by the Senate, and remember the Senate was, from 2017, was all a hand-picked, junta-approved Conservative Senate, mostly old generals and people who pro-Chanachar decided to grant a bit of a favour. They have nominated these judges and then they are just rubber-stamped by His Majesty the King as head of state of Thailand. So I think that's important to remember there, that they're not elected. They were nominated by a Conservative, hand-picked Senate, and they're still there today. And they've been wielding their authority at least 4 times in dismissing sitting prime ministers. I was going to say elected, but the prime ministers aren't elected. Okay, so Rachel Masters has arced up here. Having read the latest Thai constitution, my goodness gracious, fancy reading the Thai constitution. It gave me a better understanding of how it works. Should be an interesting few days in Parliament. At least the rest of the population is doing what they do. Well, good for you, Rachel, for going and reading the Thai constitution. I've read a sort of a synopsis of the constitution without actually reading the whole thing word for word, but good for you. I think if Thai remain as the ruling party, the current direction will stay the course. If not, all bets are off. Yeah, I mean, I think there is probably a lot to be said if you are interested in the stability of Thai government, for the Thai to continue leading the coalition, which is a mixture of quite a few different parties representing different political points of view. I mean, they have run a relatively stable government for at least the past year. So yeah, okay, put a new prime minister as the leader, the sort of the front face of the country. But yeah, maybe if that happens, there will be very little change to the stability of Thailand's government. Nongwoo So says, Aussie breakdancer for MP. I think a lot of people would have no idea what you're referring to there, but I get it. And no, probably not going to happen. CA1954, who are the top 3 most probable candidates? Oh, well, as I outlined, Chai Kasem Nitsari from Pertai, number 1. Number 2 would be Anitin Sharvitakun. Number 3, let's just have a quick thought. Number 3, most likely. I don't think there is a number 3. I think it's going to be out of those 2. If it's not those 2, then something has happened which has upset the apple cart. I suppose the other number 3 could be Patongtan Shinawatra. If she put her hand up, she'd be nominated. But I'm pretty sure that the Pertai party want to sort of keep her under the wraps and let her spend a few more years in the classroom before she gets the top job or gets an opportunity to stand for the top job. One person here has tried to answer your question, saying Patongtan, Prawit and Anitin. So there you go. Fat Boy Jim, how did Srettha get into this position? It was my understanding that an ex-convict could not be an MP. So the guy he appointed should not have been an MP in the first place. Fat Boy Jim, your question doesn't quite make sense. Srettha was not... he was not an ex-convict, and he wasn't even an MP. He was an outside nomination, which is covered under the Constitution as well. Steve Bandfield, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, Thaksin. Yeah, Steve, I mean, as I mentioned in my preamble today, these sort of memes about Thaksin sort of running things, yeah, he has influence, he has emotional authority within the Pertai party, but that's sort of where it finishes. And if you have a look at the current standing in Parliament, Pertai, 141 MPs. There are 493 MPs in Parliament, so he doesn't have any sway over the rest of them. So just turn on your brain, people, before you start rolling out these Thaksin memes. Yes, he does have a certain amount of, well, because he's old, he has automatically in Thailand a certain amount of earned respect. And also because he's a former Prime Minister, he has a certain amount of earned respect. But beyond that, with the red shirts and the Pertai party, that is his heartland. That's where his respect really sort of finishes. The other, well, if you work out 493 minus 141, the rest of them have no allegiance to Thaksin whatsoever. Someone commented in Integrity Thailand Legal that it's already reported Chai Sakemnitsari nominated as the new PM. Okay. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that his name, well, it's automatic. He will be nominated as a PM. Doesn't mean he's got the votes. He will stand up tomorrow if he's okay and if he's well enough, because as we reported earlier, he has been reported to be unwell. Now, I haven't read anywhere in the news as to what is ailing him, whether it's a cold or whether he's got something a little bit more dangerous. But if he doesn't turn up to Parliament tomorrow, I think it's going to be hard for him to get the following of the other MPs. But yeah, as far as Pertai is concerned, I'm sure he will be their first pick, which doesn't mean he's going to be the Prime Minister, but he probably will be their first pick. Cash is power and freedom, says Darwin Stubby. Look, again, I think that's a nice meme, and you could probably find a picture of a fist of dollars to go together with those words on your meme, but it doesn't actually mean anything in this context. Put it into context with what's actually happening in Thailand today, and I'll be happy to read out your comment. Okay, what else have we got here? Fat Boy Jim, how did say that? I've got done that one. Steve Banford, the court will find some skeletons in the new candidates. Well, the Constitutional Court don't unilaterally dig up dirt and decide. It would be the Election Commission that has to forward a complaint to the Constitutional Court. It would have to be a senator or an MP or even a citizen making a formal complaint to the Election Commission, who then decide whether they're going to forward that matter to the Constitutional Court. So it's not as if the Constitutional Court just sort of sit there going, who can we remove today? There has to be a legitimate complaint put up to them. I mean, I think a lot of people don't really have a sort of an understanding of Thailand's parliamentary and legal system. It does work. It may not work in the favour of sort of progressive, or some might call liberal politics, but it does sort of work in its own way. Is there an appeals court in Thailand? Yes, but the Constitutional Court is the top court. So once you've been kicked out by the Constitutional Court, you don't really have anywhere else to move. Well, I don't know. When you've got a head of state above the Constitutional Court, maybe you could throw yourself at their mercy. I'm not sure how that would look or how that would happen, but I would suggest that would be unlikely from a practical point of view, to say the least. You can't sort of just go and knock on the palace door and say, hi, I'd like to seek redress from the head of state. Pattongtarn doesn't have enough supporters. Yeah, I'm not sure if she doesn't have enough supporters. I just don't think that that her father would give the green light for her to be able to. He would have a say as to who's going to be the nominee for the Thai party. That he does have influence over. I think he just sees his youngest daughter as a future leader or future prime minister. She is currently the leader of the Thai party, and she's obviously gathering a lot of experience. I think you're probably right. You have a Thai name, and I can't read it out because I can't read Thai, and I'm very sorry. Hakul Guru, I felt it would be so nice to start having a younger leader as premier and presidents of countries. Yeah, seems to be a bit of an issue at the moment in some democracies around the world where there are older candidates being re-elected. Okay, are you ready for my my bolt out of the blue? This is extremely unlikely, but it's a possibility. If Thai, with 141 voters, don't get their way and get the support of other MPs for their candidate, who will be Chai Sakem Nitsari, and then perhaps Pumjai Thai have a go, and they'll put up their candidate Anatin Charvitakun. They've only got 71 votes. They need a majority of the 493. Maybe he won't get a majority as well. You could actually have currently the Deputy Prime Minister, but who would also be the caretaker Prime Minister. The caretaker Prime Minister, after running a round of voting, I'm pretty sure if they can't get it sorted out tomorrow, they'll just put it off to another day and the horse trading will continue. This is sort of what happened last year when they were trying to find a Prime Minister, and and they'll all be trying to get their numbers and they'll have another go at it. But once they stand, pointed out by John Armstrong, they are not able to re-stand. So this is a problem. You've sort of got one bite at the cherry of running for the Prime Minister with this current constitution. So the caretaker Prime Minister has one piece of armoury that a lot of people don't realise. Rachel Masters might know this because she actually read the Constitution. The caretaker Prime Minister can dissolve the Parliament. So that's something that he has the right to do. So, the writers of the Constitution thought, well, maybe there is some sort of a situation where they cannot decide on a Prime Minister. So we're going to have some circuit breaker, and that would be dissolve the Parliament. By doing so, you would then have 493 elected MPs in the lower house, this is sort of deep Thai politics, who would then have the opportunity to put together a new government. Wow. So, who has the most votes in the lower house? Well, the New People's Party. Who has the second highest number of votes in the lower house? The Thai Party. That would be 151 plus 141. You see where I'm going here? A complete outlier, but it's possible, and it would be legal, that the Thai Party and the New People's Party, which are the remnants of the Move Forward Party, could form a coalition. And then they'd have the opportunity to nominate a Prime Minister. So that's a real outlier. But the caretaker Prime Minister, who's the Deputy Prime Minister today, does have in his sort of bag of tricks the opportunity to dissolve the Parliament if they can't find a Prime Minister from this current crop. Now, I would think that is extremely unlikely, but I'm just mentioning it so people who actually like the old Move Forward Party, like PTA, like the New People's Party, well, they could end up as part of a new government if they can't find a Prime Minister from this current crop. So anyway, that's my outlier. I just thought I'd mention that. That's the way the Constitution sort of allows things to happen so that you can find at some stage a new government or a new Prime Minister. The parliamentary system around the world roughly works the same way. A lot of Prime Ministers are not voted in by the people. The Prime Minister is the leader of a party which is part of a group of MPs or a coalition. And as has happened in the UK, as has happened in Australia, as has happened in Thailand, the Prime Minister can be changed in and out without the vote going back to the people. This is part of the parliamentary system. It's not a presidential system where you have as a head of state an elected president. The Prime Minister is just the leader of a party which has won the votes and the confidence of the Parliament to lead a government. And they can be washed in and out without the vote going back to the people. Okay, so I'm going to leave the rest of the program up to you, moving that aside and going here. CA 1954. Let's just cut to the chase and put Prayut, I think you mean, back in power. I would say he would be a less than 1% chance. As I said, you've got to work your way down the list, and it's all coming back to the numbers. So, yeah, my hot tip would be Chai Kasem Nitsari. I think he'll probably get it in the first round. I suspect there is probably a willingness in amongst the 493 MPs to have some sort of continuity or stability. There is an opportunity for a bit of a wholesale mess up of what's going on. Indeed, as I said, the caretaker Prime Minister does have the power to dissolve the Parliament and allow a new coalition to be formed, but that would be even more remote chance, I would have thought, than Prayut returning to the position of Prime Minister. Prayut not a legitimate candidate as Heist member of the King's... Heist member? Current member? Well, yeah, he'd have to resign from the Privy Council, but he could stand as Prime Minister. Imang Gitula, since it was ruled, it's just disappeared, by the Constitutional Court, I don't think there is a way to appeal the ruling. That's the way I see it too. Who do you appeal to? They are the highest court of the land. Tammy, I'm pretty sure some people will not be pleased with Thaksin's daughter having the top job, young or not. Yeah, I mean, the Shinawats have their fans and they have their detractors. But if she got the top job by means covered in the Constitution and voted in the Parliament by fellow MPs, then she would have the opportunity. Now, she's not an MP. She didn't stand for Parliament, but she is an outside nominee, which is covered under the Constitution. That's another reason I just think that the candidacy of I get used to saying his name, Chai Kasim-Nitsari is probably the most legitimate and the most obvious. And then the second most likely would be Anitin Shah-Vidikun. But yeah, just look at the numbers. 141 MPs versus 71. So somehow Anitin would have to convince all those Thai party leaders, party MPs, that they should vote for him. They don't really like him. Steve Bandfield, he's taken you just retracted the comment, so I can't read it. Good morning from Jom TM, says Heiko. Good morning to you. If I have a trip coming soon, should I be worried, says Jay. No, come. There's absolutely no reason anybody would cancel or postpone their trip to Thailand. The parliament in Thailand is still intact. There is no coup. There is no coup. There won't be a military coup. The chances of a military coup are next to zero. If there was a military coup within the next 12 months, here you go. Are you ready? I'll leave Thailand. There you go. It's just not going to happen. Okay, what else we got here? What happened to all the Move Forward MPs? Are they sitting as independent now? No. They all joined a new party called the People's Party. So by every single one of them, not one of them will lured to join other coalition parties. Every single one of them, bar none, joined the new party. So they're all sitting as MPs, but they're just sitting under a different brand called People's Party. Is that allowed in the Thai constitution? Yes. So they've got a new logo, they've got a new name, but basically they are the same party, but they have a new leader whose nickname is Neng, and his full name eludes me at the moment. I'm a bit confused about all this political stuff, says Buy Me a Cola One. Yeah, look, it is a bit confusing, and I only sort of know because, one, I'm interested, and two, I've sort of been reading this out for the past 10 years or so. Anitin is a true politician, says Steve Banfield. We'll go whichever way the wind blows. Yes, he is a career Prime Minister. He's also very ambitious, and he would certainly be a hot candidate for tomorrow's vote for a Prime Minister. Jake, g'day from damp Gold Coast. Unfortunately, corruption is so far ingrained. The fight for power in Thailand has for many years been the same way. Thai people need to be able to vote for the next PM. Well, the Constitution, in any parliamentary system in the world, the Thai people don't vote for the Prime Minister. In a parliamentary system, people vote for members of Parliament in their local constituency, and those members of Parliament will then decide who's going to be the Prime Minister. So in a parliamentary system, the people do not vote for a Prime Minister. It might seem like that from the outside, but that's just the way it works. Okay, what else we got here? Guess the 10K digital wallet promo, says Hip Sip Satang, will be cancelled or put on the back burner. A lot of Thais were holding out for that. Look, if we imagine that the continuity of Thai-style democracy continues, and the government is still the government, and they've just got to find a new Prime Minister, these policies by the Thai party in the coalition government will continue. Sort of nothing will have changed. I think there will be perhaps a different emphases, and there'll be different pressures, and whoever the new Prime Minister is will certainly cast their own shadow across the new Parliament, not the new Parliament, but the Parliament. There would be a cabinet reshuffle. There'll be a few more names. A few names will be dropped out. But essentially, the continuity of the current government and the Thai Parliament continues. What were the 40 ex-senators who started this hoping would happen? Well, I don't know. They're not senators anymore. They lost their job after their term finished in May. So good question, John. They'll be sitting there just sort of licking their lips today thinking, job done. even though they're not even sitting senators anymore. Leslie Westling says, if you can help out, can you clarify what happened with the car bombing in South Thailand? And is it safe to visit that area of Thailand? Leslie, sort of off topic a bit today, but if you stick to the main roads in southern Thailand, it's very safe. If you are going north to south, heading down to the Malay border, as thousands of people do every day, it's safe to go through southern Thailand. If you want to start going meandering into some of the smaller districts and sub-districts in southern Thailand, if you want to go to Pattani, Yala or Naritawat, I wouldn't be hanging around off the main roads down that part of the world. Personally, the Thai government would probably call it safe, but I'd be recommending that you probably don't. Unless you have a local guide, and they would perhaps be able to steer you around any of the problem areas. The violence in the south, whilst it's appalling, is relatively rare and sort of keeping to particular sort of areas and districts. Martin Rollerson, not all Move Forward MPs joined the People's Party. The numbers aren't the same. That's because 10 of the MPs have been banned. They were the executive. So, all the existing Move Forward Party members that were left in Parliament did join the new People's Party. Hip Sip Satang, guess the... Oh, we've done you. Okay, we'll do a couple more. It's, 3 minutes past 10 already. Hi, Tim. Question, what is your opinion on the effects of the Thai baht? I don't think this will have a lot of effect on the Thai baht. The Thai baht seems to remain perhaps stronger than it deserves, but it's been doing that for the past 20 years. So I don't think there might be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but as I say, the government is still there in place. The parliament is still in place. There hasn't been a sort of a coup beyond the Prime Minister being removed. So I don't think there's any reason why the Thai baht should be affected. As I said, there might be just a quick blip for a day or two, but then it will return to its usual state of being a Teflon currency, as we sort of say. Okay, Marty Workman. We have a parliamentary system in the UK in which people vote for both their local MPs along with the Prime Minister of that party. That would be a simpler and more expedient approach for Thailand. Well, no, I don't believe that's correct. I think they vote for their MP. Now, whoever is the leader of a particular party would be assumed that they would become the next Prime Minister. So they're sort of voting de facto for a Prime Minister, but they're not voting directly for a Prime Minister. They're just voting for the MP. Hi, how are you? Really good, BWW. Okay, holding back American and Thai, what I comment can be detrimental to my well-being. Ha ha ha. The thing I wonder anymore is who is guarding the guards other than I'm done commenting for today. Well, I sort of get what you're saying there. You sort of know who's sort of looking after the tea shop. A lot of people have their own suspicion of what's going on there. Which cat was that? Sorry, things happening under the seat there. Look, I mean, Thailand has a head of state. It's got a parliament with an upper house and a lower house. It's got a head of the Senate. It's got a head of the lower house. It has a nominated Prime Minister. Has a judiciary. I mean, it's not... the system works much the same as other parliamentary systems around the world. Now, where the different pressures come from can be argued by people, and I'm really not getting into that today because I don't think it will have a lot of influence in who becomes the next Prime Minister tomorrow. I think that really is down to the numbers in the current Parliament. And that's why I think it's going to be out of those two candidates, one from Per Thai and the other less likely from the Phum Jai Thai party. The world has had a gutful of a particular religion, Quasmodic. Oh, good for you. I have no idea what you're talking about, but thanks very much for offering that today. Will I still receive my 10,000 baht wallet, says Daniel. Daniel, I don't think you were getting it in the first place. Certainly don't think you'll be getting it now. Wondering if the change in cannabis laws would be already locked in. No. The Cannabis Act, if you like, or whatever word they want to, whatever name they want to give it, never sort of got to Parliament. No matter who is going to be the new Prime Minister, I think it's sort of locked in what's going to happen with cannabis in the future, just through the sheer weight of the votes in Parliament. And those votes haven't changed. Except for Peter, who was against cannabis, the other 10 Move Forward MPs who've also been banned, they were also dead against legalisation of cannabis. Srettha Thaksin said he wanted to wanted to recriminalise cannabis, so he's out of the picture as well. But there's still 493 MPs, and the majority of those sort of want to not recriminalise cannabis, but want to certainly regulate cannabis, and that would include regulating or criminalising recreational use of cannabis. And that's pretty much been the stance of Anitin Shah-Vitakun as well. So I don't think there's going to be a change in this sort of revised look at cannabis, but it's certainly sort of going to be on the back burner. Don't expect anything until later this year. But I don't think, the numbers in Parliament haven't changed on that issue, so I don't think we're going to see any wholesale change to what the intention was of the coalition government if they remain as the coalition government. Can you still buy broccoli next year? I don't know. Yes, you will probably be able to buy broccoli, but I don't think there will be, I think there'll be a law saying that you won't be able to smoke it recreationally. But people have before, and they will in the future. Just may not be quite as public as it is now. Okay, one more. Thai baht went from 38.5 to 39.6 for €1 since the verdict yesterday, corresponding result with the USD. Yeah, look, there might be a quick dip. But the question is why? Does it show instability in the Thai government? Should the Constitutional Court have the ability to remove a Thai Prime Minister? They're all valid questions. But the government is still there. The Parliament is still there. The coalition is still there. It's got a caretaker Prime Minister. So I don't see any reason why the Thai baht should drop. Will it give people who are thinking of investing in Thailand a quick moment to rethink their situation? Yeah, sure. And I don't think it reflects well on Thailand. But Thailand does continue today as it was yesterday. After 10 years then, what was the real issue? I don't know what you're referring to. Okay. Quasmotic says the particular religion the world has had a gutful of is in reference to the trouble in the south you were talking about. Okay, Quasmotic, thank you for that clarification. At the end of the day, and I think this needs to be recognised, the troubles in the south are not just about religion. They're more to do with real estate. They're more to do with borders. They're more to do with history. Yes, it's both Buddhist activists and Islamic activists who are involved in some of the terrorism in the south, some of the violence, but it's not just about religion. Very different situation from different terrorist acts in different countries. The Deep South has its own particular problem. It's got a history, but it's, by my way of thinking, more about real estate than about religion. And Tim Scott, thank you very much. Much appreciated the live show. Thank you, Tim, very much for your generosity and support of the channel. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much for joining in this morning. I think we've covered quite a bit of territory. Whilst I might have painted a picture that seems to be more shades of grey than black and white, that's because Thai politics is usually a lot more about nuance than it is about things that are just easy to pick out of the air, like Thaksin's running the show, there's going to be another coup, or other sort of silly sort of memes that are simplistic and don't address the nuance and the cultural aspects of Thai politics, which are about honouring the monarch. They're about honouring people who are older than you. There are so many different things at play when it comes to Thai politics beyond just the vote. Quasimotic, we get your point. But the world has had a gut feel. Again, I think you need to just understand a little bit about the word nuance before saying comments like that. Okay, blast off. Sometimes please address Hioa Casino have such a negative affection CM. I've got no idea what you're saying. So tomorrow there's going to be a meeting at 10 a.m. The parliamentarians are going to be lining up, and there's going to be a show of hands. And the first candidate off the ranks, I would suggest, will be Chai Kasem Nitsari. And then if he doesn't get the vote, then perhaps Aniton will have a crack at the top job. Beyond that, I don't think anybody has any idea. The only issue, the only shadow, I think, hanging over the nomination of Chai Kasem Nitsari tomorrow is his health. It's been suggested that he's unwell, so I'm pretty sure we'll find out more today about what his problem is and if it will impact his opportunity to stand as Prime Minister tomorrow. He would be a safe bet, but we've got 24 hours to go before that happens in Thai politics. My intention tomorrow is to do another live program, probably around midday. So I'll foreshadow that somewhere so that you know what time I'll be doing it. But I think it's important, with things moving so quickly, to do a live program so that we can get into the nitty-gritty. Nothing much else has happened here in Thailand. I can also report the sun came up. It's going to be about 33 degrees today. We've got sunny with some light cloud, a bit of a light sea breeze, and no matter what happens up in Bangkok, I'm living on a beach. It won't affect me. Thanks for joining in. Thank you very much to the Super Chats, and hopefully I've addressed most of the comments, or the ones I could get to, and we'll see you tomorrow.